Bit about the low poly process that we covered a little bit yesterday, and we'll just talk through some of the things that you want to make sure that you're doing and getting done as you're working on this. So first things first, you're going to get your photo into Adobe Illustrator. Now, when you do that, you're going to want to create a new file. Okay, don't drag your photo onto the Illustrator icon. You're going to want to create a new file, which I've done here and gotten my dog there. Okay. So the next thing you're going to want to do is figure out, okay, like what, how do you want your dog or your subject matter to appear, right? Do you want maybe half the dog? Do you want, I kind of like that it's going to be like kind of down in the corner here like that, where it's kind of part of his face. I might do that and then cut off the other half here. So what you could do is I could actually click on this and go up to crop image. And I can crop this image down. So I'm only getting maybe part of that dog there. Perfect. Perfect. I love that. That actually looks pretty cool. So then I'll low poly that portion, and then we'll go ahead and add the color and stuff. So I've got that locked, or I got that cropped, and now I'm going to lock it. So I activate my image. I go up to Object. I go to Lock, and I lock selection. That allows me to be able to not move that image underneath it. Okay. The next thing you're going to want to do is get to your Layers menu by going to Window, Layers, and that will pull up this little Layers window. Okay, and I'll move this. Move this over. So you'll see here I have Layer 1, which is my dog, and then I have Layer 2. I've gone in and added another layer, and that's going to be what I draw on. So think about this as like tracing, and that Layer 2 is your piece of paper that gets put over Layer 1. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pen tool, and I'm going to make sure that my fill is nothing. Remember, fill with a red line through it means there's nothing. And then I'm going to choose a stroke. I'm going to choose something like bright pink that I can see. And the weight of the stroke is over here, 1 point. So I'm going to make it just 2 so I can see it. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start by, maybe I will do kind of work section by section here. I'm just going to go in and trace around my dog. And again, I'm going to keep this nice and kind of geometric here. Again, click, 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 click. So we're just working with straight lines with that pen tool with this first assignment. Our next assignment, we'll talk a little bit about how to make curves and such. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go ahead and go in and add to my ear. Now remember, I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. When I go in and I add, right, or if I go in and draw or connect to a line. So let's say I want to connect to this point here. Notice I get right now I have a star next to my pen tool. That means I'm going to add an anchor point. If I have a minus, that means I'm going to delete it. So when I hover over that connecting point, I'm going to hold Shift, and I get my star, and I can add directly to that. Perfect. I'm just going to come back around here and enclose that ear so I just have a nice enclosed shape, making sure everything's nice and even, just like that. All right, so now I'm going to start by drawing some of those triangles in my ear. And if you look at this, the direction of the ear is kind of running down and across. So I'm going to go in and just kind of start drawing some of my triangles. Again, I hold Shift to avoid that minus. Now, I've just drawn 2 lines, and that looks like a triangle has been created, but I need to enclose that triangle by going back over that line. So now I have a shape. So I would just continue to kind of come around here and draw my triangles and draw my shapes to make them look cohesive. Now, you'll notice here I have a triangle where the points look really weird. Well, I can adjust this. If I grab this white arrow tool, this is the direct selection, and I hover over a point and I click on it, and then I double click on it, I can now adjust this to maybe get those lines to line up a little bit better. And you kind of got to play around with it a little bit, but that will avoid any kind of issues where the lines maybe don't match, okay, or where the points don't match. So I'm going to grab my arrow tool. Again, I'm just going to kind of keep coming in here and kind of drawing my triangles. Remember, they should kind of follow the form. And they don't have to always be triangles. They can be, you know, different shapes. Totally up to you. And a minus there, so I got to make sure that I hold my plus. And just make sure, the biggest issue that I notice with students with this assignment is they forget to close their shapes. So make sure you're closing those. Make sure you're filling those in. We'll talk about color a little bit later in the week. What I want you to do is just work towards getting your shapes drawn and getting that low poly completed. I'm going to kind of come in here. Maybe I'll get this one. It's kind of one dark color here, so I'm just going to take that kind of all the way like that. Kind of got a nice dark shadow here, so I'm going to take that and make that kind of a shape here. Come down to there, come across, come up, come back around over the lines, and just like so. I got a nice dark triangle here. You can see where the value is. So I'm going to go to there, to there, and to there. I got a triangle that's kind of here where that dark value is. I got one that's going to kind of come down to here, there, to there, and to there. Okay. So you'll see that I kind of keep going and keep rolling and keep moving. So now that I have these triangles, and once I get all my triangles done, we'll talk about adding fill. So as I click on these shapes, I'm going to actually want to turn the stroke off in just a second. But what I would do is I would click on my shape here. Okay, so you see I have a triangle. If I hold I on my keyboard and click inside, it will automatically fill the color, fill that triangle with the color that you are clicking on. So watch this. So I'll click over here on this triangle down here. So if I hold I can use this eyedropper and click in any area within that shape to get the color that is realistically under it from the dog. And that's how we get the realistic coloring for our animals, right? So again, that's how we would fill it. I would grab my arrow tool, hold I, and fill it. Now, I would not wait until the last minute to do some of your filling. I would work section by section. So I would finish this ear with all of my triangles and then fill the colors. And that's going to basically allow me to see if there's any gaps, see if there's anything that needs to be adjusted, and, you know, change any colors or move any shapes or readjust any shapes. So then I would do, maybe after I do the ear, I would go into the eye, and then I'd go into the nose, and then I would start working on the head, maybe based on color. Okay. Alrighty. So work section by section, get your triangles drawn in that section, and then fill them, and then see how it goes from there. All right. Don't save or export or submit until we're all completed, which will be next Friday. We'll all submit these together. All right. Good luck.